other news, President Bola Tinubu has directed that all entourage to state and international events be drastically reduced by 60%. The president has also directed that on every local trip of the government, the security details will be drafted from the host state. According to the special advisor to the president on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngulali, the move by the president is in a bid to cut the cost of governance. According to the new directive, the president will now travel with only 20 officials as against the initial 50 officials, while the vice president will now travel with 5 officials. The presidential spokesman said that the essence of the reduction is to bring total sanity and prudence in the management of resources. Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Aliyu Audu, joins us now to discuss the president's fight against corruption, reduction in travel cost for both local and international travels for himself and others in his administration, investment in steel and other policy measures. Good to have you on Arise News. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good to be here. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Nigerians.
Well, a lot of Nigerians have applauded the president for cutting, down travel costs for himself and others in his administration. But others believe that he can still do more. For instance, he can limit the number of foreign trips he undertakes. He should also implement the Orosanye report on the restructuring of the MDAs, review the budget so as to cut wasteful spending, and so many others. Are all these issues being looked into by the president?
Oh, sure, yes. They are being looked into, and not because, people generally expect government to do that because he needs to, set the agenda for his administration. He said time and time again during the campaign that, as a nation, we cannot continue to do things the way we have always done things. He reiterated, after taking over, that there's need for the attitudinal change. For us to actually have ways in government where things work the way they should work, so as to have a thriving economy, improved standard of living, a secured, safe, environment to live in, for every citizen, then we are going to have to, look inwards as to how we've always done things. And, it doesn't start from anywhere but the top. And he has taken the initiative. January 1st, holiday period, he came back from holiday and signed the budget, into law. And what the significance of that day is, the fact that he knows the essence of time, the urgency that the current time requires. And, following that is a reduction that, like you have rightly said, there are a whole lot more. It doesn't mean it is the only thing that needs to be done. It doesn't mean it is the only thing that is going to be done. It means things that needs to be done are now being done. It only means that the hope, he intended to renew when he asked for this mandate, is now being renewed, because when the average Nigerian sees a leaner budget, a more efficient budget, a more effective government rather, then, it begins to make sense as to why everybody needs to brace up for the economic reality as that we are all faced with at the moment.
Well, very well said. Now, while the president is trying to renew our hope, like you say, it seems that he brought a few obstacles on board. For instance, we know that he has suspended a minister. The CEO of NSIPA is under investigation over alleged financial crimes. We know he has ordered an investigation, into what happened with the Better Gates scandal. But considering how most probes in Nigeria are never followed through, with appropriate sanctions meted out to offenders if they are found guilty in this case, what's the assurance that these cases that are under investigation will be different?
All right. In continuation of the first part on as to how things need to change and the realization of this, it's why we have an individual who understands corporate governance, an individual who is passionate about the country, an individual who is passionate about the black race, passionate about Africa. And he didn't just become that, when he ventured into politics. He's been about that all his life. And understanding the essence of government, understanding the essence of state in a society, and how a government needs to function to ensure that, it does its own part of keeping a state together in the way that the state thrive according to the values that the society have created for as norm in the society. So the government has a part to play in this, a very strategic part. It's very important, and he knows this, and that's why he doesn't do things the way others do things, and that's what has set him aside from others, and that's why he's where he is today. He commits to a target, he commits to a goal, he puts in the work. We have been governed over the years by a lot of inshallah politicians, a lot of in Jesus' name politicians. No, in Jesus' name, inshallah does not run a country. When a country works, when the people work, the country works. And he knows this, and that's why nobody has put in work as much as he has put in at every or any stage of his life, in the public service. And the results are there to show. And the only way to do this is to go by the laid down procedures. And it means there has to be no sacred cow. And he has said repeatedly, for the economy to thrive, for people to have better life in Nigeria, there is need for one of the key functions of the government, which is redistribution of wealth. As it is currently constituted, the wealth of the majority is in the hands of the few. And the impact of having it in the hands of the few in the most illegitimate or illegal way is the implication it has on the economy, because it just goes from the CBN to certain bank account and it sits there, and it takes the connivance of the private sector, the financial institutions too, for this to happen. And when these funds don't jump around, they don't create the economic activities, there are no value created, there is no production, there's no service, it affects our economy, and the government cannot feed. He just signed the over 28 trillion naira budget, and it's a budget that is not going to depend on borrowing. So he knows what it is. He has designed and signed into law a budget that is lower in deficit, but expecting to borrow less, meaning the government must create an economic, where it generates its money from. If there are no activities in the economy, the government cannot generate money. And he's not going to, what we've seen in the past is,
Mr. Audu, I'm going to put you on the spot now.
I can hear you.
You are on national TV. So I'm going to ask you a direct question. Do I have your assurance that this investigations into financial misappropriation, it will be thorough, the findings will be published, it will be publicized, and offenders will be sanctioned? Do I have your assurance, speaking as the Special Assistant to the President?
Oh, absolutely, yes. And it is already evident in the sense that it's the public knowledge that the Code of Conduct Bureau has invited, one of the 7 ministers whose name has come up in the alleged, transactions there. What it is the effective government is a government where every unit of that government works, irrespective of who mans it or who is on the other side. What it means is that there is internal competition. Nobody sits somewhere and tells someone in another unit or another department not to do the best of his job just because he's going to be favored, because he's going to show failure. And the leader we have currently does not look at religion, does not look at tribe, he's a result-oriented. And he has repeatedly told them, if you do not pull your weight, if you are not doing the part you are going to do, you'll be shown the way out. And I can tell you confidently that there is no sacred cow in the government, and he has made that known, like he has always all through his career. And he has prioritized prevention of this sort of happening. We can't keep wasting time, resources on trying to track it. We need to set a system that's immune to it largely, so that when someone beats that, is glaring that it is not erroneous, it is not it's not a mistake. So the full wrath of the law will take its course. This is the precedent you have, and this is exactly what you're going to get, and I can assure you of that.
Now, Labour Party presidential candidate, Peter Obi, says it's a sad coincidence, that the Better Gate scandal broke almost at the same time that the last minister who held the portfolio is being investigated for a whopping 37 billion naira misappropriation. So he's wondering, if the Humanitarian Affairs Ministry itself, may have been created by the system as a conduit pipe to siphon public funds while using the poor as a face. Would you like to react to this?
Oh, yeah, surely. The truth of the matter is, like I have repeatedly said at different times, if the first thing we need to admit is that we have a problem, and how we know we have a problem is by understanding, is by looking at the root cause. So we've attended to symptoms of issues over the years. The root cause is like we have a society, that's without value. We have a society that has paid so much attention to money, than values. We have a society where there is no production, but money flies everywhere. There is no service, but money is everywhere. So it's not strange that, the corruption we've talked about, we cut across to government. No, it is not strange. It is part of us in the private sector. It's in our daily living. It's there. So reacting like it's a shocking thing. I mean, it's like saying the entire government that we accuse of being corrupt was designed for corruption. Is that how to put it? No, it isn't. It just tells you that there is no subset that is exempted from the rot of the society. It's a universal set that is rotting, and we are going to have to find a way to fix it. And in response to such, even ahead of his comment, Mr. President has set up a panel, a ministerial panel, to be headed by the coordinating minister of the economy, Mr. Audu, to look into, the activities of this social investment program have been suspended for 6 weeks. Look into it and see, come up with a legal framework, come up with, some functional framework as to how it can be repositioned to achieve the very objective which it was designed to achieve, which is helping the vulnerables get out of the vulnerable states. It can't be designed, it couldn't have been designed to fail. It couldn't have been designed to act against the state. But we know that amongst us are people who are always going to take advantage of the system for personal gains. So we are not going to, blame the entire system, blame an entire project just because a few persons, he's talking about 2 people. The ministry alone has how many, personnel? So we can't say for the fault of 2 people we should, we might just well give up on the entire system if that's how he says it. But clearly not. We're looking at the problem. We're not the one who throw away a whole system just because we think we can fix it. We have a president who knows what problem is. He knows how to fix it. He has been fixing it. He has been successful at it. He has done the right thing, set up panel, at the highest level to look at that while the audit is going on. And when the system returns in 6 weeks, I can guarantee you that, the Nigerians in a couple of months, will see a different social investment program under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay, we'll be waiting, until then to see if indeed what you have said is what Nigerians will witness. Now, moving on to other issues, Nigerians are eagerly anticipating the revival of the multi-million-dollar Ajaokuta Steel Company and, of course, other diverse steel-related projects nationwide. Can you tell us what's been done about this? How soon will the expectations of Nigerians be realized concerning this?
Okay, the steel sector is essential to our industrialization, and time and time again, Mr. President has spoken on the need to, build our economy on industrialization, the need to ensure we get ourselves as to not just be exporters of raw materials. We need to add values, because in the process of adding values, to these raw materials, we create jobs, we create wealth, standard of living is improved. We've had, Ajaokuta Steel, who singularly is enough, to keep afloat the economy of Nigeria, but hasn't, lived up to expectation since inception. And the current Minister of Steel Development, Prince Audu, in company of Minister of Defense, after having, among others, visited China and some companies, interested investors, and they've come to brief the president on all of the opportunities that have been lined up. About $10 billion investment is being readied, by Chinese companies to, come into the economy. And it's good and it's timely because, however, we intend to blow our economy, if the structural unit of the economy, the productive sector, and iron, steel, the sheer amount of steel and rail and rod we import, other neighboring countries import. If we had a share in that market, if we invest in it and have a share in that market, it speaks to, our ability. And like the president rightly said, he's excited that the ministers are taking the initiative. Like he told them from the get-go, not about sit back and wait for how things used to be done. We need to find better ways to be competitive. He's instilled that competitiveness, he's instilled that competition in governance, and we have investors going in. When this investment come into Ajaokuta, we're anticipating like some military hardware equipment industry setting up around the Ajaokuta steel, so that will be fed from the immediate output of the Ajaokuta steel mill. It increases the confidence that we have, in the president. It increases the private sector confidence in government. It's a sign that we are moving in the right direction, and all we can do at this point is look in and see what role we have to play in it and align ourselves and build the country we want to have.
Well, just before I let you go, this last question. Though the president believes he means very well for Nigerians and Nigeria, his administration in the last couple of months has brought unmitigated hardship and thrown more Nigerians into multidimensional poverty. His efforts at providing palliatives have failed, with his cabinet members, even allegedly diverting funds. The president has asked Nigerians to be patient. But can you explain, why his request for patience is justified at this point, with all the news we are hearing, from his cabinet, from the ministries, from the departments and agencies, with our lawmakers buying expensive vehicles? What specific measures is it taking to alleviate the sufferings of Nigerians?
All right, I'll speak to the executive arm, and which is headed by Mr. President, to whom at whose pleasure I serve. And I would say this: if at all the very essence of building public trust in an individual, in a system, is called to question, then now it's the time. He's not a newbie in the game, in the game of public administration or corporate governance. He has his track record. I understand the impact, the current decisions, which are right decisions, which are the best decision. It's going to have this pain on everyone, which the president, continuously expressed understanding of. He knows, he's aware of it, and he insists that over the years, some of these measures that have brought about this hardship have been used as an excuse or as excuses, to defraud the majority of Nigerians, our commonwealth, just to serve a few people. If the government is going to do the job of redistribution, if the short period of the hard pain, it is not palatable. It is not, no leader wants to sit back and watch this happen, but we have to do what we have to do. But what I think the Nigerian people ultimately believe in is they have seen what he's done when he was given the previous task as a state governor. They have seen, what his long plan has meant for the state. They have seen what his track record is about. And, it is easier having someone like that taking a call that making a very difficult shot, making difficult calls, that the majority will agree with him because they have shown that what can Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu possibly be looking for? Is it money? No, it isn't. Because, I mean, if we go back to some of the history that some opponents tried to use during the campaign against him, which were cases against funds in accounts entirely, decades out of this country, decades ago. He's been in public service from then till now. If it was money, he won't put himself through all he's done to be this. If it's political power, who in Nigeria is he going to try to do favors to give him? He has built his political reputation from scratch to where it is, and he has earned him this victory at the polls. So this is a man who means one thing and one thing alone: add value. Add value to the country, to his continent,
now, Mr.
and to the black race. And
Mr. Audu, I have just 2 minutes with you, but as we're talking about cutting the cost of governance, it's a shame, isn't it, that Nigerians are now, sourcing for funds. People are contributing to pay kidnappers. It's a shame, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean, if we take it back to...
Very briefly, please. We have to wrap up.
Where the system comes from, the security system, is it? I mean, the kidnappers and all of these are just symptoms of a system decay. These are systems of ineffective or inefficient or probably in an existence. Why it is bad that this happens, the focus has to be on fixing a system that does not let this happen in the first place. The very essence of terrorism, the very essence of insecurity is to derail our movement, is to create fear that we cannot do the good we know we can. And the evil don't stop until the good, rise up to conquer the evil. So we are in the right direction, and I'm confident that, such tales are in the finishing stage, that the president has reiterated. He isn't building an economy that is going to succeed with insecurity. No, he's not building an economy on insecurity. He's building an economy that he's taking a chance on, and a chance on that economy means the country must be safe and secured for people to do business, and that's exactly what Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to ensure.
Well, I wish him all the best, and I hope he succeeds, in this task that he has undertaken. Aliyu Audu, Special Assistant to the President, Public Affairs, thank you so much for joining us on Newsweek.